Seven keys to massive growth in 2024. You are listening to the right episode. If you wanted to hear what my team and I did to grow from 0 to 392 funded units this last year in 2023, I'm your host, Steve Kyles, and this is the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And hey, you know what? I'm excited to share this two-part podcast. So, many of you know I'm a partner here at the Mortgage Marketing Animals, but I'm also I have a production team that I lead. And about 28 months ago, we started this journey, started literally from zero. And then in our first year, grew it to 57 million. And then in this last year of 2023, grew the team to 112,543,000. We funded 392 units. And we grew 51% in the toughest mortgage environment we've ever seen in history. And so, I don't get the chance to share it a lot. At the Mortgage Marketing Animals on Thursdays, I do a class for our members called Loan Officer Blueprint. And I shared seven strategies on this last blueprint and seven strategies to massive growth. Looking back, what are some of the things that I wish I would have known? It maybe would have saved us a little bit of time and money and helped us accelerate even faster. And so I wanted to bring this to our community here at the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. So this is part one. Hey, and as you're listening to it, if you say, man, I would love more access to things like that, go to freedomplanningcall.com. Myself and our team would love to meet with you and see what we can do to put resources like this in your hands to have big growth in 2024. So I thought I'd share this. It's a little bit of the story behind the scenes. One of the things I'm going to do this year is just share more and more of what I'm doing with our team to see even more growth, to be the good, the bad, the ugly. We've won a lot. We've learned a lot. And I love that phrase I constantly encourage people with is I'd rather get better, not bitter, better, not bitter. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share it's a 1 hour training. I'm breaking this up into two episodes. So this will be the first 3 points of 7 points of what I would do to have massive growth in 2024. And remember, you want help, freedomplanningcall.com. Hope you enjoy. I'm really excited about today's class. I don't talk about it a whole lot. I started 2 years ago as a producing branch manager. I actually don't produce as of a couple of months ago. Like I don't have loans closing in my name at this point, although I am coaching several of our core teams that are here that have joined us. And so I just want to share with you what we've done, man, over the last 2 years, 7 keys to massive growth. And, it's something that's interesting. I don't share a lot of the numbers, but the more I reflected this year, I read a book called The Gap and the Gain, and I would challenge you. I'll throw out books. I actually listen to a lot of books, but it was so powerful because this last fourth quarter, it's easy to measure the gap of what I should have, would have, could have done. How many of you today, like maybe even this would be something great to drop in the chat. It's like, oh man, I wish I would have done what I did in 2021 or 22, or man, I should have done more. I could have done more. And the challenge with that is your mindset is negative, and instead of celebrating the gain of what you did accomplish, it becomes something that is more of a downer where it's like, man, I'm not even motivated to get up, and I don't want to make my calls because I should have insert in whatever it was. And one of the things that I did this last couple of weeks going into the new year was just reflect. And so I thought, you know what, let's do a class on what we've done. And we're going to go over this. Where's a practical point to begin? Like if you want to grow, I've talked to so many of you here recently. And if I said, hey, Gina, what would it look like if you doubled your production and went from 20 units a month to 40 units a month? Most people would say, here's the response I know that I had several years ago was, man, there's not any, I couldn't give any more hours. Like there's not enough hours in the day for me to double production because I just can't work more. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what would it look like if you began to grow and it didn't require more of your time and you had the right people on your team. So growth didn't mean time, growth meant effective. So we're going to talk about a practical starting point. So where to begin in your journey of a scalable growth, a significant business that runs without you being in the middle of it. Second is this: discover what to focus on. Um, for effective outcomes. I'll tell you this, most of you have read the word or the book, The One Word. I love that book. And my family's been talking about, hey, what's your word for the year? And I was telling my wife, I think mine and several of my team members, I think mine really is focus. I'm a pretty focused person, but this year has got to be a year of no. It's easy to do what a lot of people want you to do and not what moves the needle the most for you on your family. And so you can get busy doing all of these things. And then you look at it and say, I'm focused on the 20%. I'm not as focused on the 20% that gives me 80% of the results. I'm so busy doing the 80% of the work that only gives me 20% of the results. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what to focus on, explore the framework for growth, and then how to minimize distractions and maintain focus. So one of the things I thought I'd just share with you my journey in the end of 2021. I made a move. I transitioned. Listen, transitions are hard, but I will tell you this: if you're at a spot where you're at is limiting your full potential, sometimes it's the only thing you can do. I know at my last company, I thought I was going to be there forever. I remember going in and sharing my vision, and they just said, "Hey, that's not really in alignment with what we want to do." And I realized, you know what? I'm very loyal as a person, but I had to make a move because I wanted to fully integrate the marketing animals culture because I sit in a unique position. I get the privilege of being a partner with Carl White and being a big part of what we do here at the marketing animals. But I also have been a producing loan officer turned into a branch manager and more now more of a network leader, a sales leader in our team. And I get the perspective of being able to see what's happening not only in the coaching side with thousands of people in several, I mean, in hundreds of different companies, but also what's happening at the street level, the local level, the one-on-one conversations with agents and clients. And so when we started the journey, my first full year was in 2022. We did 182 units, 57.2 million, actually 244,000. And then in 2023, looking back, I really thought we could do more. And this is where the gap in the gain helped me. I'd hoped to do more, but I look back and I just started celebrating. Look, in my second full year, leading my team and growing our network, we did 392 units, 112,543,000. And I know like Nate's on the call. Nate's a part of my team. Sarah Cox is part of my team. Kenneth Brantley. We got a good group of us and really diving in and just said, you know what? Okay, we grew 51% in the toughest environment that we've seen in my 21 years of doing this personally. And I thought, you know what? Instead of the gap of what could have, let's celebrate the gain. I mean, that's remarkable. An industry that lost nearly 50%, most people are down anywhere from 40 to 60%, probably an average of 50, 55% down. We actually grew 51%. And this first quarter, we're going to top that. I mean, we're seeing even more growth, probably more than what we saw last half of last year. And so it's an exciting thing. So I thought, look, if I can do it, you need to know if I can do it, you can do it. Part of this journey is a belief that you can. Let me tell you about me. I'm a 6-year college dropout. How do you go 6 years and drop out from being a double major? You just do. I was a musician. I dabbled in real estate in my 20s. I partnered with a guy. We lost a ton of money. Ended up having 3 or 4 houses. I don't remember what, 4 houses go in foreclosure. We were able to pull them out, went $250,000 in debt, lost about $1 million in real estate. Man, it was a mess. I was newly married, broke, and I just remember praying and saying, okay, God, what am I supposed to do with the rest of my life? And I know there's two things I've heard super clearly about. One is marry my beautiful wife, Stephanie. And number two was to get into the mortgage business. And I didn't know you spelled mortgage with two G's. I just knew that this is what I wanted to do and what I was called to do. And, I just realized that if I can do it, you can do it. There's nothing special. There's no magic sauce. I think this industry is about what you're willing to put in, how committed are you to your goal, and what you're willing to do to see that goal become a reality that's legal, ethical, and moral. So what I want to do is just, if I were looking back and saying, hey, you want to scale? Let me give you 7 things that really helped us scale. And I'll tell you, for some of you, you know this or not, but I'm chasing a billion. I'm going to build this team to $1 billion yearly funding goal. I know we can. I thought I could do it faster. Guess what? That was a reality check. We're going to grind it out. We're going to do what we've got to take. But if I can do it, you can do it. And you got to have a belief that this isn't a complicated business. It's a systematic business. And the good news is, so many of the people that are on this call have helped us figure it out. And where it took us years, you can see it happen in your life in months. Number one is this: how do you have big growth? You got to commit. I think commit is such a big deal because when you commit to yourself, um, there's a couple of things you got to do. It starts with knowing your why. Why are you in the business? And for some of you, it may have even been an accident. It's like, hey, I just kind of tripped into this. Wasn't something I even knew. But I'll tell you this: regardless of how you got in, you got to know, what is it that we're working to achieve? What is something, like for me, I'll tell you, and I can just tell you my story. For me, it was a calling. Like I just, there was a settling in my heart, and it was like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I love people. I had experienced terrible experiences in the mortgage business, going through our real estate stuff. I had an opportunity to meet somebody that was in the mortgage business, and then there were confirmations along the way, and it was like, I know I'm supposed to be here to help make a difference. And look, 21 years later, I get to make a difference in the lives through the marketing animals, through my personal team, through my network and branch. And I got to tell you, when you know your why, it helps you do number two. There's got to be a resolve. Anybody ever, like some of you may be trying to say, I'm going to work out from here on out and I'm going to get healthy. And I'll never forget, a few years ago, started working out with a buddy of mine at a gym, a CrossFit. It's called Iron Tribe. And I'll never forget, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finally get healthy. I'm going to work on this, but I'm going to resolve so deep and so hard to where it's like, have you ever said this? Even if it kills me, I'm going to do it. And I think a resolve, and here's the good news: none of this will kill you. It's not going to kill you. It may be a little painful getting into the discipline, but it really is a stance. Like I think of it like tug of war, where it's like I'm pulling, but my stance is at such a place where you're not going to pull me off of whatever I've resolved to do, because my why is so big. Whether it's financial freedom, getting out of debt, whether it's sending your kids, like for me, part of mine is sending mine to private schools and to pay for their college and to not let my kids go in debt, and to be able to set them up at a place where I didn't have that luxury. We came from a lower income family and we didn't have much. We actually qualified for food stamps, and my dad was too proud to take it. And so for me, it's like I want to provide at a deeper level for my family and kids. Know your why, resolve that you're going to do whatever it takes that's ethical, moral, and legal. And I love this last one. For me, if somebody were to say, what really kept you through it? There was no plan B. Look, I didn't have a plan B. I still don't have a plan B. There can't be an alternative plan, in my opinion, because what happens is when I'm already thinking about an exit strategy, there's not this fire. I love Carl this week on the Breakfast Club gave an illustration of, until you want it so bad that you literally are gasping for air. He talked about an illustration where the guy said, you want to know what it means to mean that I want it so bad I'll do whatever it takes. He took this guy to the beach, dropped his head under the water, and held him down for like literally a minute, to where finally when he let his head out of the water, the guy's like, "Ooh." And he said, when you want it that bad, that's when you're going to get it. And I think what part of what we've got to do is, when we commitment happens whenever we know our why, we resolve that we'll do whatever it takes, and there's no option or plan B. Because look, when there's no plan B, I love this. My wife and I, when we got married, our commitment to each other was this: there'll never be a way out, only a way through. And that's what a plan B, not having a plan B, does for you. There's not a way out, there's only a way through. And what's interesting about that, Carlton, when there's only a way through, I think about everything different. It's like, okay, look, if I know my why, I'm resolved to be here, I've made a commitment, there's no plan B, then the only thing I can do is activity and pivot. Activity and pivot. I do the activity, measure the results, pivot based on results. And so, number one, you got to commit. Number two, execute. Man, this is a big one. On executing, I think part of what we've got to do is we've got to know your numbers and calendar your plan. So if I were talking to myself a couple years ago and say, "Hey, how do I expedite the growth and how do I continue to see scalable growth?" Number one, I live here on 5 acres. My kids shoot guns down by the river, so we back up to the river, and they've got they just love shooting guns. And it'd be interesting if I told him, I said, "Hey, son, shoot west," which is towards the river, but I never gave him a target to hit. He wouldn't know if he did enough or if he even pointed it correctly in the right direction. And I think when we talk about executing, if you don't know your numbers, then what happens is you may have made progress, but you don't know if you hit the goal. Here's what numbers tell me. Like, let me give you an example. This would be an easy number to know. Um, and I love numbers too, by the way, because numbers take the emotion out of prospecting and all of it. If I know my numbers, like, look, if I meet with 10 qualified agents that I've never met, let's say I'm trying to ramp up and build in a new market, or I've recognized my agents are now unqualified, I need new qualified agents. Here's the cool thing. If I meet with 10, I'm going to get 1 to 2 to start committing to me. If I got a great conversion, two will start referring. If I've got an average or poor conversion, only one will. So here's all I got to know. Man, how many new qualified agents do I need to hit my goal? Well, I need 10. Awesome. That means if I need 10, how many qualified agents do you need to meet with? Probably 40 or 50. It's a numbers game. And then it's not, because it's easy without numbers to say, well, it feels like I'm not winning. Okay, feelings are fickle. Let me encourage you with that, man. That's somebody needs to write that down. Your action leads, feelings follow. They don't lead. How many times in the morning do we wake up and you're supposed to go work out? You need to have quiet time. You got to show up, but you don't feel like it. And what I've learned over the last 2 years is if I'll lead with action, the feeling will come because doing the activity will give me success. And the success over time is what becomes transformative to you and your business. The second part of executing is you got to calendar your plan. I'll tell you what's really interesting. Um, if it's not in your calendar, it won't get done. So the things we want to look at are like, what are the things that move the needle the most? Like I told you, my word for this year's I'm landing on is focused, learning how to say no to like there's a lot of good things that come my way, but is it an opportunity or a distraction? And when you calendar your plan, which means, like, let me give you an example. How many of your businesses would change if every Monday through Thursday, 9:30 to 11:30, you blocked off call stars? Not most, not some, not every once in a while, every Monday through Thursday. That one action in your calendar would transform your entire business. If you did that 1 2 hour block and you were terrible at it, terrible calls, terrible scripts, terrible conversations, but you stayed faithful to the activity, here's what will happen. When you're in the group that you're in now, the activity is what gets you better. Hey, I heard something. This was so powerful. Richard, I think I already told you this, but I heard somebody, and I happened to be watching an influencer, and I know that social media only accounts for 3% of referrals. So I don't spend a lot of time on social. But I happened to watch this influencer because he was talking about building subscribers. And somebody had asked him, he had helped, I mean, countless people grow to over 100,000 subscribers, million subscribers. By the way, clicks and subscribes don't pay bills. But I was fascinated. The guy asked him this. He said, how long does it take? A year, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 24 months to get to 100,000 subscribers? Listen to the guy's response. He said, I get asked that a lot. He said, but what we found and what the data tells us is it's not time, it's reps. When you have posted your 1,000th video is when most people hit 100,000 subscribers. And Richard, that was such an aha because I immediately called Carl and I said, bro, I said, that's exactly what we've been talking about, is that we think it's 90-day plan, a 6-month plan, a 12-month plan. The plan is as long as it takes for you to get your reps, to get your qualified agents, or to call your database. It's the reps that matter more than the time. So if somebody wants to scale, then just calendar more time. I'm thinking about Nate, and I know Nate's on the call, but My man, I'm so proud of him because he like has seen record months and the most income he's made. I know it's like it's an exciting thing, but you know what he did that nobody saw behind the scenes? On Monday, he didn't do one call stars. He did East Coast and West Coast call stars. Nobody saw that. I did because I'm on his journey. And I just thought, my man, Nate Carver has learned that it's not time, it's reps. And he's got a goal to get over 20 fundings a month. And it's not about, will it take me 12 months? It's about, is it in his calendar to do more reps? Because when you do more reps, you just simply get better. Here's a couple of things I'd have you look at. Um, hey, let me just take a breath real quick. Anybody got a question? I felt temptation, something, nothing, massive action, massive results. I love that, Scott. Good to see you, brother. Hey, and I appreciate that, Tim. 51% was exciting to see. Okay, cool. One DSP delegated 100%. Okay, cool. All right, you got a question, drop them in the chat. So let me show you some of the numbers I'm looking at with our team. Number of qualified agents you have is going to be critical rolling into this year. And I would challenge you with this. Don't go after the people doing eight. Man, eight's a baseline. You're going to find this. I was talking to Sarah. We were talking this morning about just strategizing. She's got a goal to hit $100 million. And dude, I'm excited to see it. And the strategy is just this. Hey, what we've got to do is go after the big ones. Go after the ones with 30, 40, 50, 60 buy sides because look, you've got a plan. Gina, you just said it. What are your agents that are producing at that level loving? They love the realtor DSP because they're process driven. They don't prospect when they feel like it. They got a plan to prospect. That's why they got 50 closings that are buy sides. And what we do is we disqualify, like Aaron. It's like, bro, you're a brilliant businessman. Why are we working with agents? And listen, I'm not discounting them. You're getting my heartfelt. These are my conversations with my team. Why go after the eight who are still learning the discipline of prospecting when we've got a process to prospecting that leads to big results? And your business leaders, which are the ones doing big numbers, those are the game changers. You want to go from 20 million a year to fund 40 million this next year. It's not going to come, it will come from the 8, 9, 10 buy sides a year, but those massive gains are going to be coming to alignment with the ones who are producing 30, 40, 50 buy side transactions. And you're worthy of it. You're good enough. You got the plan. You got more of a strategy than any of the loan officers in your market. I guarantee it. So measure the number of qualified agent relationships. And if you don't have enough, look at the ones you've talked with in the past, warm up the old ones, and make going after new qualified agents your last result. So many of you have older qualified agents that you just hadn't talked to. Get them to warm up and they'll start working with you quickly. The second thing is you got to tackle your database. It is low hanging fruit. We use something in my branch and my team that we call sales boomerang. I know a lot of you do too. It has been remarkable to see the number of trigger leads that are coming in. Your database is talking to lenders. And if you're not in front of them, you're missing the opportunity. We see 1 per 100. Somebody who's got a database of 400 or 500 people, if you'll consistently know not only the numbers, but really hone in on the database, that is one of the greatest opportunities because you're going to find they may not even have used you this last year, but I just talked to a client literally right before I got on this. He's buying a $700,000, $800,000 house. He's going with the builder's lender. And he called me, literally, his name's Heath out of Austin. He literally called and said, bro, I'm coming to you to refi. I'm just teeing you up. And I'm telling you, your database is the biggest missed opportunity. So you got to know your qualified agents, you got to know your database, and then pick one part of the DSP to really, like what we're doing is dialing in one day of the week, January, one day of the week, February, one day of the week in March, one day of the week in April. And here's the deal, we're already doing it, but we're not as dialed in as I think we should be. So each month we're just taking a day and we are literally memorizing the scripts, making sure that we're holding ourselves accountable to ask every time. And these are the things that'll help you scale without going to get cold, unknown people. You've got money in what you've already got. Here's the things I would challenge you to measure daily. How many leads a day do you need to be able to hit your goal? I was working with one of my teams and we were talking, and her goal is where she needs 20 leads a week. 20 leads a week will get her 18 to 22 fundings a month. And you know what? So we just broke it down. If you need 20 a week, we need 5 a day. So every day, Aaron, like you're leading a team. So it's like, hey, did we get our five? No. What can we do to get our five? So these are some of the things we're measuring daily is how many leads a day do you need? How many talk tos are you having? How many times are you asking for the business? Because here's what we found in quarter Q4 of last year. We were having lots of conversations, but we had fallen off asking for the business every time. And listen, take a screenshot of this one page. This is something we are so dialing in. There's only 3 scripts that'll transform your business. I know we have 9 freedom scripts, but these are the ones that you implement right now. Who do you have today that I can help you get pre-approved to ensure it's a great use of your time? Every time you talk to an agent. Second one is if you're going after new qualified, I'm a student of success. I'd love to hear your story. We got that from Irene, one of our coaches. What a phenomenal way to say, honor you. Let's do coffee. I was talking to one of my someone this morning who's on my team, and she said, literally, I got 2 well appointments today. And I'm telling you, not little producers, big producers. And so you got to measure these things, but make sure that you're closing every time. Have your team close every time. The client script. Do not let a client get off the phone. Can I count on you to give me a call when a friend, family, coworker is looking to buy, sell, or refi? So these are some of the things when we're talking about taking massive action that we're looking at each day. Good stuff. All right. Is this good? Everybody, give me a thumbs up in the chat, high five or something. Okay. All right. Hey, look, so that was the numbers. Let me just show you this, a real quick thing on calendaring your plan. I love what Benjamin Franklin said. He said, if we take care of the minutes, the years will take care of themselves. And, you know, I'm a big fan. I got to tell you, my disc profile is a DI. Actually, it's an ID. And what's interesting is this was a hard one for me. When I think about calendaring your plan, I think about restrictive. And I hired a young lady. She was with me for about 7 years, really remarkable leader. And now she actually works for my twin brother, which has been a great transition. And, you know, she taught me, she was so good. She taught me about the calendar. And Jolea she helped me learn the power of a calendar. And it goes back to this. If we take care of the minutes, the years will take care of themselves. And I love what Craig Rochelle says. He's a great leader. And he talks about prioritize what matters most. So in scaling this year, write down the 2 or 3 things that if you didn't get anything done, like one would be call stars. Why? Man, I just have to tell you, Call Stars has been the #1 key to our member success. We see it all. I get the privilege to, Carl and I get the numbers and we look at them and we dissect them. And Julie's doing a great job running our coaches. And I'm telling you, like Call Stars is it. And it's the greatest gift to this industry. But if I'm prioritizing what matters most, it's like nothing comes from 9:30 to 11:30 or whatever time you do it. Some of y'all have your own Call Stars. Then I would say, what's the next most important thing that I do? I need to make sure it's built in my calendar. What's the third most, the fourth, and the fifth? And then what happens is you got a calendar to where it's like for me, LOBC is every morning at 7:30 a.m. I got my outbound call time from 9 to 11 every day. I do my loan consultations from 2 to 4 every day. I got white space from 11 to 2 p.m. That's where I get to choose what I do, whether it's content, video, social, doesn't matter. That's my choice. And then from 4 to 5, wrap up and go home. And you don't have to be so segmented that it's uncomfortable. But if you'll put what matters most, then all the fluff kind of fills in around it. And now you'll do the 20% that moves 80% of the needle. And here's some of the things: 8 to 9 team meetings, great way to start your day. 9 to 11, or if you're on Call Stars, 9:30 to 11, outbound sales calls with each day having a theme. 11 to 2, lunches, coffees. 2 to 4, loan consultations. 4 to 5, wrap up the day. Here's what it would look like. And what you do is you start building out this green time, and then you start adding in what's in there, and you're looking back saying, was it green time? Was it red time? And that's the only 2 times you get. So anything in these lunches and coffees and appointments, if it was prospecting, it turns green. If it was administrative, social, videos, content, coaching, doesn't matter. If it was anything other than selling, it's red. And a calendar will tell you whether or not you're on track for your goal. All right. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. I know such great just insight into how to make sure you're having a great year and setting yourself up for 2024. Hey, if you want help with any of these things, go to freedomplanningcall.com. Freedomplanningcall.com. We'd love to help you. Just as a recap, number one was make sure to commit. In committing, you got to know your why, resolve. There's no plan B. Number two is execute. In executing each and every day, you got to know your numbers. And then once you know your numbers, it's so important for number three, you got to calendar your plan. So commit, execute, calendar your plan, because here's what we know: if it's not in the calendar, it's not real. I hope you enjoyed part one of 7 keys for massive success in 2024. This next episode will be part two. We go over the four remaining points, and look forward to seeing you there. Hey, remember, you need help, go to freedomplanningcall.com. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.